All right, welcome back to another edition of Boss Beat. I'm Ben Lichtenwalner. Here we talk about a latte of leadership for those seeking to be or build better bosses in business. And yes, in case you haven't figured it out, Ben likes his bees. All right, so what are we talking about today? Well, each day at Boss Beat, first of all, we focus on one of the 7 core principles of great leadership and being a better boss in your business. Those are populating on your screen right now, and they are selflessness, empathy, resolve, virtuousness, authenticity, nonpartisanship, and thoroughness. And today we are going to be talking about the last one, thoroughness. If you've been following along in our brief stint here so far, this is only episode 5, I think, or so. We were doing it on a daily basis, every day of the week, but I decided I was being a bit too ambitious with 3 little boys. So these principles are not just my crazy idea. They are the teachings of some of the world's greatest leadership experts and greatest leadership practitioners. So we've looked at over 300 different attributes, over 2 decades of study, and we've distilled them down and realized that basically we all are advocating the same core thing, and they are those core principles. But we know you're incredibly busy, so we're going to keep it actionable and practical. We want to make sure that everything we talk about here is not sort of pie in the sky or purely academic. Nothing against the academics. We love what they do and they help us, but we want to keep it what it's like to work in the trenches. Okay, so today I mentioned we are talking about the principle of thoroughness. And what do we mean by thoroughness? Well, when we are speaking of thoroughness, there are many attributes to it. We're going to highlight 3 today. And the 3 we're going to highlight today are, first, they are systems thinkers. So people who practice this principle of thoroughness at the workplace focus on being a systems thinker. Now, what does that mean? What does it mean to be a systems thinker? It means that you are not just sort of randomly requesting people to do things. You're not, it's not the ready, fire, aim. It's you're planning solutions. You are making sure that when you implement a new approach, a new process, a new system, that there is definition around it, there are expectations set, there is a longevity to it. It's not just sort of random, chaotic, asking team members to do different things. That is systems thinking, putting processes, tools, and of course, systems in place. Now, the second one is they are visionaries. The attribute of being a visionary under the principle of thoroughness means that you have some grander vision for the team, for the organization, for the mission. You have a perspective on where you are trying to lead the people. Too often we end up with bosses in the workplace who focus solely on sort of doing the tasks they are asked to do. Being a thorough leader and practicing the attribute of visionary means that you have a vision for the team, for the organization, that you relay to them, that they can see and can follow. Next, and the third attribute we're going to talk about today, is having foresight. Now, you might think that that sounds kind of similar to visionary, but it's not. Visionary is the big picture, long-term view. Foresight, on the other hand, is about having a awareness of the shifting realities for your organization and the team and your stakeholders. How is the industry changing? How are the demands of your clients and your customers shifting? How are the expectations of employees and the team members changing over time? What external influences could impact your vision for the organization? These are all examples of foresight. Being a good, thorough leader who practices the attribute of having foresight, that is how you become a great or better boss in your business. Now, some examples, specific example I want to share with you. One of my clients has a fantastic, thorough practice. Whenever an employee in their organization achieves 20 years of employment with the company, they are celebrated as what they call a water carrier. Now, they call them water carriers because not only are we there to celebrate them for their longevity, for all that they've given the organization and often the community over time, but we are also there to task those new water carriers with another responsibility, and that is of being a water carrier. What do we mean by water carrier? Well, Native Americans, different tribes of different countries, native tribes over the years, many of them have had this practice of individuals who were tasked with carrying water. They would have to go to the nearest well to gather water and bring it back to the tribe. Those water carriers from the different tribes and different locations would often meet at the well and share their stories and news of the different communities in which they are a part. Those water carriers carried the culture forward. They carried the stories of their people forward. They shared the history and news forward. And so individuals who had been with the organization 20 plus years were tasked with this responsibility. They are now water carriers for the organization and tasked with that responsibility. I think that's a beautiful example of being thorough in your organization and in your leadership. Now, how do we build thoroughness for ourselves? In addition to making sure you're practicing those attributes, specifically, I like to look at what John Wooden says about it. The late, great John Wooden, the basketball coach, talked in his Pyramid of Success, which is famous among athletes and hopefully many of you as leaders and bosses in your organization. He spoke about the importance of being alert. His quote, and I'm going to read this to you, when we aren't alert, we miss opportunities to improve ourselves. We should always watch for circumstances or situations that can help or harm us and be eager to learn from these encounters. So, I think if you look into that, you see both the alertness and the thoroughness and, the foresight as well. How do you build thoroughness in your own role and responsibility, in your own practice in business bossing or being a leader in business? Well, some ways to think about it. How can you be more alert? What systems do you have in place to keep you alert to the shifting realities of your people, of the stakeholders, of your clients, of your customers, of your employees, of your partners, of the community? See how we balance those two together, right? Remember, systems thinking is another attribute of thoroughness. What systems do you have in place? Don't rely simply on being alert by listening. That's not a system. Do you have people you check in with regularly? Do you have specific industry publications you read? How are you staying on top of the shifting needs of your different stakeholders so that you are alert to the shifting needs of your organization and stakeholders? Now, if you're interested in finding out more about the principle of thoroughness, the attributes of alertness and systems thinking, you can find out more at the website on modernservantleader.com. Just come out here to go to resources and then click on the leadership map. There you will find all these principles, and you can type in thorough here and it will filter across all of the different examples and attributes, those hundreds of different attributes we talked about. I am Ben Lichtenwellner. I thank you for your time. Until next time, keep serving. And if you are interested in this sort of content that is action and practical, please check out virtual leadership programs where you'll find out more of the trainings I teach, which are of a similar approach and style. I think you'll find them very beneficial. Thank you for your time, and until next time, keep serving.